And now, from beyond our dimension, this is the JeffMara podcast. Here's Jeff.
My guest is Shane Burns, who in 2013, while in a life flight helicopter, had a near-death experience. Shane, thank you for joining me and welcome.
Thank you for having me, Jeff. I'm excited to be here.
Well, let's start on the day that this happened, and why did you need a helicopter in the first place?
It was part of a falling apart relationship, and I had lost my cool, and I went out to confront her ex, and I essentially just kind of got really frustrated with it, and I went out to confront him, and I pulled the car like right up to the house and said, "Come on out, we're going to talk about this right now." But I was not in any kind of calm state. And because I was fighting for my family, essentially, man, that's what it was. I mean, this is my living girlfriend. I'm raising his kid at my place for a couple, like 2.5 years at this point. So just blow it over. So he wouldn't come out. So I put my head down to go through the window. Put my head down and go through the window like this. The last thing, the right before, let's see. So yeah, I put my head down to go through the window. And after I did that, right out of my peripheral vision, I saw him standing like this with a baseball bat. So I was already bent over like that, and he was standing here on the other side of the wall. I couldn't see him. He hit me as hard as he could right here on the crown of my head with the baseball bat. Split it open about 5 inches. And so directly after that happened, obviously it stunned me. So I stepped back, and I was just like still, like whoa, like I was completely stunned. And I was standing there, and I went like this. I went and took my hand, and I like pointed with my pointer finger and reached up and like went to touch it, and I touched my brain, and I went, oh man. Because at the time I was down a dirt road at a house down a dirt road. And I mean, the closest hospital would have been about 25-minute drive. So I was really worried that this was going to be the end. In fact, at one point, I sat on the hill and looked up at the stars and just accepted it because I knew there's kind of probably no way out of this. I was losing a lot of blood fast. So anyways, I sit up and I'm stunned. I touch my brain, adrenaline kicks in, and I'm like, oh man, I got to go. So I run to get back in my car, and I turn in the yard, and I immediately run into a bank, and it gets stuck. So I'm like, okay, I get out of the car. I'm bleeding everywhere, and I'm, obviously I am panicking at this point because I don't see a way out from this. There's another car in the driveway, so I run over to that car, and I hop in it. There's no keys. By the time I get out of that car, it's almost completely covered in blood. I'm losing it fast, man. So I get out and I start to go back up towards the house again. They didn't come out. They stayed in the house. I don't blame them. There's wild things going on. I run back up to the house. As I'm getting to the house, I see a car pulling in. It has sirens on it. So I'm like, oh, it's an ambulance. All right. So I start running towards it, or as fast as I can move in the state that I am. And I see it's a police car. So I'm like, oh man, that ain't no help. I went back to my car. I go to open the door and reach in, and I fade out. I hit the ground. I'm unconscious at that point. When I wake up, I'm surrounded by lights and about 3 or 4 EMTs. Actually, they said I told a joke as soon as I woke up, so that was kind of cool. But they said they woke me up and they kept talking to me, keep me coherent. And they told me that there's a life flight helicopter on top of the hill. I'm guessing it's the only place they could land it because we were in the woods, man. So so they get me up onto this. They get me up into the ambulance. As they're putting me up into the ambulance, I fall back out of consciousness. Next time I wake up, we're at the field and I can see the helicopter in the distance. So I remember them running me up to the helicopter. Helicopter door opens. I fade back out again. Excuse me. Now we're taking off from a point that is roughly 60 miles away from where we're headed, UPMC Pittsburgh, down in Oakland. While in the helicopter, I wake up from being unconscious once more. And I wake up and I can't really move. I mean, at least I don't. And I look around and I can see like the EMT to my right. I kind of see the pilot, and it's really tight. And I can see buttons like all the way around me. That didn't last but a few seconds, and I fade back out again. Then I wake up and it's just full adrenaline force. I come up off the bed, and that EMT jumped across me and held me down with his whole body till I fell out again. No, yes, I fell out again. No, wait, hold on. I got ahead of myself. Yeah, that's right. Okay, yes, he came over me. He got me out again. I woke up again, and it was it. I woke up again, and I kind of reached out for the EMT, but I was like really exhausted by this point. Nothing really, and I just laid there like quietly and still, but I was awake and coherent, completely conscious in the helicopter when this mild vibration comes over my whole body. It's very mild, but I mean, I can feel it everywhere, the whole thing. And it starts to escalate and get more intense and more intense and more intense slowly. And then all of a sudden it gets very intense, like way up to plateau. And then maybe 2 seconds after it hits this plateau of vibration inside me, I start to feel my life force, my essence, my spirit, whatever you just want to call it, start to leave my body, starting up here and going towards the right. So it starts to go. It's going. It's going. It's going. I feel it all. It's slow, like being in a car wreck. People say, because I've been in a car wreck before, and it was really slow. Like time distorts, it slows down, and that's exactly what it was like. So it's coming out. I'm coming out of my meat suit, essentially, coming out of my body, and for whatever reason, the release point was my Achilles heel. It was the last place I could feel my life force leave my body. That happens, the release point happens, I'm completely out. And what it felt like is when you watch a slideshow and it slides to the next slide, it was really quick right after I disconnected from my Achilles heel. At that point, I'm out and it's just all dark. It's all black. I can't see anything. I'm weightless. The only thing I'm aware of is my consciousness. Who I am, my consciousness went with me when I experienced transfer. So I'm there for a few seconds, maybe. I can't really tell time when this is happening, but afterwards, it's way clear to be able to do it. Anyways, excuse me. Okay. Yeah, I lost my train of thought there for a second. It brings up a lot. Okay, so I get out. Okay, yes. Okay, so I'm out. It's all black. And the only thing I'm aware of is my consciousness, but my personality, who I am, transferred with me until my eyes dart right, left, right, left, right. I still can't see anything, but now I'm aware that I have a sense of sight. And I knew I could see, but I couldn't see anything. So literally, those were the only two things that transferred over for me. A couple more seconds go by, and I don't know if it was a thought I had or realization comes over me. Okay, this is life now. But I wasn't scared at all the whole time either. It was wild. It was just like, whoa, okay, now this is. I'm suspended, I'm weightless, I'm assessing what life is now. When all of a sudden, literally out of nowhere, I feel what feels like hands, but it might not have been. One on my shoulder and one on my hip, which I wasn't even aware I could feel at the time. I was outside of my body. But if I were to be inside, that's where it would have felt. And this force, I mean, just pushed me hard. I mean, it just out of nowhere, boom. And then lights on, I wake up, I'm in the ambulance, or I'm in the life flight helicopter, and I'm completely exhausted. I can barely move, but I start yelling to the EMT, am I gonna die? Am I gonna die? Am I gonna die? Hysterically, obviously, at this point. And he goes, a few seconds pass, and he says very frustratingly, well, we're here. And the door to the helicopter flings open, and about 3 or 4 EMTs are running they're running full sprint down the runway. They get me out of the helicopter, they turn me around, run me full sprint back in there. They get me in there, and I don't remember, but there was people completely the whole way around. I mean, I remember it. What I don't remember is how many, but there's people completely around me. They had 2 staple guns putting my head back together because I also was cut over here somewhere. There's only like 6 staples here. There's a bunch here. And as that's happening, I can feel it. And that pain or whatever, I fade back out. I fade back out of consciousness as that's happening. They don't even have time to cut my hair. They're just trying to, I mean, keep blood in me, essentially. So going in my head, I fade back out. I wake up to one, I'm guessing, nurse. He's cleaning the blood off my face, taking my clothes off. I'm completely covered in blood. And I'm like, ugh. I'm like looking around, and I don't even remember it, honestly. I just remember that. I remember that guy cleaning my face with hydrogen peroxide because I'm like, wow, that blood's coming off pretty easy. And he's like, yeah, hydrogen peroxide takes it off. He said something about you can impress a girl that way or something. He just made a joke, right? And he goes, well, we're going to send you upstairs. Looks like you made it or something like that. Like I said, I don't exactly remember what he exactly said. So they send me upstairs. I don't remember going upstairs. I must have woke up upstairs in a room. At that point, that was the first point that I got back, like who I was, my feet are on the ground. I'm on this plane, whatever you want to call it, like back to normal life. Like I said, holy cow, I made it through. Like, whoa, okay. But obviously I had massive concussions. I was in there, I don't even know, 2 or 3 days. And I would say, like I said, like, I'd wake up for a little while and I'd just be exhausted and like I couldn't think at all. Sometimes I'd wake up and there'd be like students around me with pens and papers. They were like, you know, I don't know exactly what they were doing. That happened like a few times. And then finally I wake up and I'm coherent enough to like try to call home and be like, hey, this just happened. So I'm in the room and I do get a hold of my mother and my aunt, and they're like, okay, we're coming, you know. So they start on their way, and while I'm sitting in the room, I see policemen going back and forth in front of my room, and I'm like, oh man, it was on his property. I mean, technically it was criminal trespassing, and so they walked me after 2 or 3 days. They walked me out of there in my bare feet, and I went to jail for 10 months. And they told me they couldn't do anything for my head except for cleaning up with peroxide. They took the staples out. But thank God, I mean, literally, or the creator or whatever it is out there that saves me, other than those wonderful people in Pittsburgh, they saved my life. God bless them. I mean it. I didn't have my child at the time. I have her now. It's like they give me another shot, you know. But yeah, after that, I spent 10 months in jail for criminal trespassing.
What's amazing is right after you were struck by the bat, you didn't have any pain. I'm not sure if you were in shock or what, but you were doing all this
No.
stuff
There was
without,
zero pain.
yeah.
It was adrenaline, I'm guessing. It took
Hmm.
me over. Sorry, I won't cut you off. I know I'm
No,
bad
no,
at it.
that's fine. The way I'm interpreting what happened to you is when you said, this is life now, when you were in the blackness or the black void, you understood that you were dead,
Yes.
and you were like, okay, this is the next transition or the next part of life.
100%. I don't know if I thought it or it was something else made me realize that, but that was completely clear.
You didn't
It was
hit,
wild.
you got pushed back into your body. Did you hear a voice or anything?
No, it was just darkness and all of a sudden a force. And it did feel like hands, but what do I don't know if that's what it was.
Hmm.
It was directly on the side of my hip and on the side of my shoulder. It was very strong.
Right. How did your life change after this?
It gave me solace in knowing that there's more after this. I don't know that I was ever afraid of it. Uh, I guess everybody wants to know what happens to them after they die, and I don't know. That's the only thing. It gave me clarity on what's next. Actually, really, it helped me prioritize the things that we do in this life because I get it. A lot of people they try to acquire things and do what they can while they're here, and they don't know what's going to happen after that. I do for at least 15 seconds. Maybe it's not much longer after that. Who knows, right? But I know 100% there is more after this, and you can't forget that. And it's like, oh, maybe I should be better. Not that I was ever bad. I was raised with religion and morals and stuff. And mostly I've been a decent person, I hope. I try to be. Honestly, I care for everybody. We need more of that.
How did your life change purposely making changes, and how did it change just as a reaction to the experience?
Well, at the time, I was facing a felony, and I was in jail. So I don't I don't want to answer this.
Obviously, I guess when you're in
There was
jail.
a lot of aftermath. Okay, there was a lot of aftermath afterwards. I spent time in jail. I, uh, yeah, that I was convicted of a felony, which I stood up for. I did it. It's fine. And so I guess what I'm trying to say is, Jeff, it took a little while for me to truly analyze it, I suppose, because I can remember the first phone call I made from jail to my mother, and I told her it didn't change me. I remember it. I mean, I can see it like visually in my head. I was kind of leaned over and I went, it didn't change me. I'm still completely me. I can still walk and talk and all those things. Now, I'm not going to ignore the fact that's a massive traumatic brain injury, and there's a lot that comes with that. I accept it. It's fine. So other than that, it didn't change who I was and all that kind of stuff. It's really, in my eyes, a miracle for sure.
Do you fear death at all?
No, zero. In fact, I'm excited about it, and that's real. I've never ever would have felt like that before, but now I know there's some journey out there. Oh, how exciting! The unknown, come on. I mean, I can feel the passion in me. Now, I don't want it to happen because I have to raise my kid,
Mm.
but I'm not opposed to it. Come on. I'm excited about it, man. It's really cool knowing that this ain't it. That's the real truth.
To those people out there that would say what you experienced was just a traumatic brain injury, what would you
Yeah,
say to
first,
that?
I would tell them that there is no way that this was just as simple as getting my head cracked open and hallucinating. It's impossible. It was way too, I was way too aware for that to be happening. That's the real truth. That's what I would tell
Has your personal spiritual or religious beliefs changed since then?
them. No, not really at all, because I was kind of already there. Like I'll study like Isaiah and Aaron, and I know it. In fact, my grandmother, my mother told me this. My grandmother, the day after she found out that my mother was pregnant, I'm the first grandson. She would walk every day that my mother was home. She would walk down to their place, help herself in, sit right beside her, open the Bible and read it to her for hours. And my old man said, there's nothing we could do other than pick her up and take her out of the house. They did. And she died when I was 10. And that would be the place where my mother would take me and her, that was the help spot. Like babysit the kids for a little while. I got to go to work, whatever. And most of the time when we were there, she would do things like, all right, stay on the porch and play, do whatever you want. I have a younger sister. She's 2 years younger than me. So for the first 10 years of my life, we'd drop by probably 2 or 3 times a week. She'd sit on the swing and read the Bible. It's like she was feeding our subconscious, man. So I was very deep into it, and I have been. But here's my thing: something would have had to created this. It's impossible that mankind put the sun 93 million miles away. It's impossible. So there has to be something. So I've basically always believed in God, if you will. So no, it really didn't change it at all. It just showed me that, oh, this stuff could be true, at least some of it.
After your experience, did you notice that you had any new abilities that you didn't have prior? That could be considered psychic?
Yes. But I also feel like I had some of that before. I One of my main passions is like mysticism. Now I ain't practicing spells or no crap like that, and I ain't doing sorcery. That's the evil side of it. I've been studying Latin for years here and there. I don't share this stuff, Jeff, but I'm going to share it with you because the stuff I share on this is the first podcast, the third interview I've done. And I leave out stuff like this because I don't want them to think the rest of the shit's bullshit. I believe I can separate my soul from my spirit from my body now, and I know I can do it. I know I can do it. Now, I've never done it in front of someone yet, so that would really confirm it for me. But it's similar to what happened to me in the life flight helicopter. I get the vibration, and I literally make this sound comes out of me where I go, and it leaves. And for whatever reason, it starts choking me right here, and it's really hard to move. So I say revenite, and it comes back, and I get my feeling back again.
Do you ever pop out of your body and turn around and look at it and see it sitting there?
No, that's never happened. But I have experienced astral projection twice.
So when you do this, are you meditating or what is the procedure?
No, it's literally just I speak one sentence of Latin and it happens. I'm in normal life. I could stand up, walk over there, say it. It will happen. Call it back, and it will come back. There's no like no kind of other spiritualism things going on. It's just normal life. It's just
So
literally two Latin sentences.
so when you do leave your body, what do you experience?
Oh, nothing. I don't feel the spirit part or the life force part. I feel my body shutting down. Literally.
Okay, so it's like you're getting close to leaving your body again.
No.
Oh,
Spirit or whatever life force is inside me will leave and my body starts shutting down because that thing is what that's what we really are. We're not the meat suit.
okay. Your life force is leaving, but your consciousness is still staying in your body.
Yeah, it's weird. So
Okay.
maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. It's just this phenomena that I've noticed. Quite honestly, that's just what I think it is. I could be completely wrong. I'm I do everything I can to govern myself with rationality and logical thinking. And so I'll objectively look at these things.
I'm not telling you to do this, but if you continued, perhaps that your consciousness would pop out of your body as well.
Oh, it very well may. I do practice meditation, and it's the Kundalini kind. And apparently, you can have visuals and all kinds of stuff like that. It did happen to me one time, and I was sitting with my eyes closed, and everything went white. That was wild stuff.
Has the memories of this experience faded over time?
Not the stuff I explained. It's super vivid.
Has your friends or family members noticed a change in you and said, Shane, wow, you're a different person since this experience?
No, I would say just only a few symptoms that come with traumatic brain injuries. That's all. I mean, maybe I get a little shorter than I should sometimes, and then I feel bad about it later. That's not who I am. It's not who I want to be. But it can be like harder to bite my tongue and stuff. That's just the real truth, man. That is a symptom from this that did change me. But other than that, it's not even that bad. Like I try to do everything to be honorable and respectful. I love the Japanese culture. God bless them. They look at their own. They live on honor. That's wonderful. We need more of that in this country.
If you had a friend that was grieving over the loss of a loved one, what kind of advice would you give?
Let me preface that with this real quick, if you don't mind. This happened to me in 2013, and I'm just now sharing it. For years, I thought I have to keep this to myself because this could mess with people's religions. It could mess with what they believe, and that's not. I don't want to be that. I don't want to do that. You know. But yeah, I reached out once, and it keeps coming. So if I were to want to try to comfort somebody with a loss, and I were to bring this up, then I would tell them I would just kind of give them the religious speech, honestly, about how they're in a better place. They're at peace now. They were probably in pain. I know someone right now that has dementia, and God bless them. One of their kids has been taking care of them for years. So I kind of get what you're coming from, because I go out there and I see him every once in a while. And I remember when he remembered me, and he does still, but it's severe. So I don't know, if I was trying to comfort somebody, I would just honestly pretty much pull out anything I could to try to help them find solace with it. And just, try to bring them peace with death, because I know a lot of people probably out there struggling with that. That'd be the main thing.
Do you feel that you're still processing the experience?
Honestly, no. It's there's nothing left. There's nothing left to process. It's just what happened.
Do you watch NDE videos on YouTube?
I never really did before, and I still kind of don't. No. How this originally happened was, one serendipitously came across my YouTube account, or algorithm, and I mean, I maybe never have that I can remember, but I clipped that one, and I went, oh, something like this happened to me, and I reached out once, and the ball's been rolling. I just did an interview from someone in Vietnam too.
When you watch NDE videos on YouTube, do you have any reaction to them?
It's funny you asked. I just kind of had this thought very recently. Before then, I wouldn't know what to think. Do I believe these people or not? But I don't even think that way. I would have just listened. But now I'm in a position of like, well, I know I'm not lying. So what about the rest of them? Maybe I should be watching these things. I just had that realization maybe 2 days ago, because I was flipping through and there was a bunch of them on my algorithm. I'm like, maybe I should be watching this, because I know I'm not lying, man.
Before your NDE, did you have any supernatural things that had happened to you?
Yes, actually, I experienced astral projection twice.
How did that happen?
Well, the first time, I woke up that day, and I had a living girlfriend at the time. She was in the other room. I come walking out of the bedroom, and I said to her as she's passing by, I had the wildest vivid dream last night. I was suspended up against the ceiling in the corner of the room, and I was watching myself sleep in my bed. And she said, without missing a beat, you weren't dreaming. That was astral projection. At the time, I didn't even know what it was. So I ordered a little book, and I started reading it. And there was a bunch of different experiences of people seeing a silver cord, or they were connected to it. And it introduced me to Dr. Robert Monroe, which is fascinating, because he's the one that pioneered the field. Yeah, and it was only, and I did see the silver cord. I was up against the ceiling, and I saw a silver cord connected to me, and I watched myself sleep. Not very long. I mean, this one was only maybe a few seconds, and so that was my first experience with it, and I believe that's the most common one, from what I could tell.
What do you think happened to you that made you leave your body like that?
I have no idea. I can't explain any of it. All I'm trying to say is it happened.
Did you do this again?
Yes, I did this once again. Um, Actually, the one I just told you, Jeff, was the second time. Sorry about that.
It's all right.
But okay, so the first time it happened, no wait. Okay, so one day my girlfriend at the time is driving me to work to drop me off at work. She says that she's going to go visit her cousin down in Pittsburgh. Her cousin went to school down there or something. She's saying something like that. I know it's a lie, but it's a horrible time to bring it up, because she's dropping me off from work and she's leaving town for the night. So I just let it go. I go to work. I come home that night. I go to sleep. And while I'm sleeping, like at first I thought it was no, after the same thing. I thought it was a dream, but it was way too freaking aware. Oh, wait, no, that was the first time. I'm sorry, I'm getting them mixed up, Jeff. Hold on a moment. Okay, so I go to sleep that night, and I find myself flying over this big party. I mean, I'm literally Superman flying straight horizontal over this party, and it's big. And this is going on for a while, and I have no control over it. It's just doing it. And it's not in color either. It's like black and grays and like maroons. It was odd. I've never experienced anything like it. So I'm flying over this party. I'm flying. I come around the bend, and on the end of the couch is my girlfriend kissing on some guy. And it stops me, and I watch it for maybe 3 seconds, and then I wake up. And I'm like, whoa, that was intense. Right? Like, what was that? Because it was way too more intense to be a dream. She comes home, or I see her the next day, or what the next time I see her, I say, would you like to tell me what was really going on? I know you were lying to me before you dropped me off to work. We've been together almost 3 years. I mean, you can't, come on. She goes, well, I went to a party with her cousin at at IUP, the University of Indiana University in Pennsylvania, or yeah, IUP. I went to a frat party at IUP, she said. I looked at her and I looked at her right in the eye and I said, I know, I was there. Because I'm telling you right now, I was. And her face dropped. She got ghost white and was like, I don't even know if she said or not. And that's the last thing I remember about that instance. And we broke up shortly after that.
Now, this was the same girl that you were in the apartment,
Now,
and oh, okay, so this is a completely different
yeah, that's
girl.
why that when I told you the one first time, I went, oh wait, that other one was way before. Because I was like in my early 20s. The one I just told you, I was in my early 20s. The second time I would have been, let's see, this happened when I was 28. So I would have been about 26. So I would have been like 22 the first time and 26 the second time, somewhere in there.
That was pretty interesting.
Oh man, it was wild. And that's 100% what it was. And, oh, in fact, okay, actually, you bring up a good point. Because the second girl was the one who told me it was astral projection. I didn't even know what it was for all those years. I just knew it wasn't a dream, dude. It couldn't have been. I was literally flying and I was there and I was aware. I didn't have any control over it, but it definitely happened.
Well, after watching this video, people may want to reach out to you and ask you questions. Are you open to that?
Absolutely. Like I said, I'm ready to bear it all.
What's the best way to contact you?
That would be my email address.
All right, what's that?
ShaneBurns85@gmail.com. All lowercase, no space.
Would you be up for people contacting you on Twitter?
Yeah, that's fine too. Yeah, I'm not very technologically advanced. This is the only third time I've ever been on Zoom.
Mhm.
So, but I could do that. Yeah, maybe that'd be more efficient. I just know my email. I'm on it because you kind of have to be these days. That's why I mentioned that. But
Do,
yes, that's fine.
do you communicate more with people on Twitter or email?
I don't communicate with anybody on Twitter.
Okay.
I post and ghost essentially.
All right. What kind of content do you post there?
All different kinds. I've been essentially, like I mentioned, I feel like I want to be a writer. I love doing it.
Mhm.
So it's kind of like I'm just reaching out. Maybe somebody will get the hint, but it's my life and it's some thoughts that I have. And yeah, it's just essentially at one point I wrote one, this page is here to enrich your life.
Well, do you have anything that you're working on that you want people to know about?
No, I'm just trying to get all this stuff in order and actually get into a book and all that kind of stuff. In fact, it's funny you asked because I had the thought, man, I wish I had something to promote right now, but I don't have all those ducks in a row yet.
Well, before we finish up, can you leave us with one last positive message?
Do what you can to care about others. We have to all start working together or it's not going to get better. We should be a community who cares about one another, embrace compassion and empathy.
Shane, thank you for your message and thank you for being my guest.
Thank you, Jeff. It's been a pleasure, really.
Thanks for watching the JeffMara podcast. I really appreciate you. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. And if you do, there are loyalty badges and other perks depending on your level of membership. All you need to do is click the join button underneath the video to find out more. Thank you for your support.